Let's see what they're saying about these Creation Engine 2 updates. Because this is the thing. People see this updated Creation Engine 2.0. So people, like these soft koala-brained people, are like, oh, so it's a brand new engine. So none of the bugs, none of the issues or anything that plagued all of their previous games will be here because we have this now. It's like, no. It's just a number written next to the same damn thing. It's like saying that magically, like, Unreal Engine 5.2 is going to totally change what Unreal Engine 5.1 does. Like, what? Don't forget the new thing, RG Ally or whatever it's called. Is that for sale yet? Did they announce pricing? Because we watched that Linus Tech Tips video on it and it looked awesome, but I don't know what the pricing is like.
For over 30 years, Bethesda Softworks has provided some of the biggest Western studio developed games in the industry. The spotlight is on this studio right now to deliver Starfield under the weight and pressure of their own legacy. Starfield is delayed.
Once again, I cannot wait for the ship customization. That's the thing I'm going to fangirl about. That I've like very little interest in the base building stuff, but the ship customization, being able to build my own ship and stuff, that gets me pumped.
Nearly a year, and many are worried or even mocking that the space RPG won't live up to the hype. Massive improvements and upgrades are being implemented into Starfield right now, and this game is going to be the highlight of 2023.
That, dear sir, is what we call an assertion. And assertions need to be backed up by evidence. Otherwise, I get to make fun of you for saying something stupid. Let's see what he's got.
Brilliant. Today's sponsor is an excellent way to get an understanding.
I love Brilliant. I'm not even gonna cap. Go to Brilliant. I don't think it seems weird for me to like play an ad during this, but I will, like, no joke. If you want to like expand your brain, brilliant.org, Colt Eastwood, use his promo code. I don't have a promo code right now, but I love Brilliant. I'm not joking. No cap in here. Look, not adjusting anything. On my home screen of my phone, okay, right here. You see what app that is? Let me press it. It's Brilliant. Okay, so I like Brilliant a lot. I'm not joking. I have it on my phone. I do it daily. Okay, so I do love me some Brilliant. No cap. Call me Brilliant. Call me. He's a little bit too much of a fanboy for me. I'm already picking that up, and I think this is going to be a little funny. So let's get into this.
Check out brilliant.org/Colt Eastwood. Bethesda, for over 36 years, has been spectacularly famous for Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and the team has millions of eyes on for the space RPG Starfield. In a game's roadmap of major titles coming, Starfield looks to be 2023's most talked about game and the most industry-affecting game, and coming exclusively to Xbox. Many questions, concerns, and complaints about Bethesda Softworks and Starfield have fans and anti-fans prone to hold the studio accountable.
Anti-fans, is that a thing? I guess so, like hate viewers and stuff. I hadn't really thought about that, but I guess anti-fan is a thing. Huh. Okay. I mean, okay, let me be clear about where I'm at with Starfield. Starfield is a very important game. There's a lot riding on this, primarily because of Xbox's previous decisions and actions. I like Bethesda stuff. I like Todd. I'm wearing a shirt inspired by Todd.
16 times the detail.
16 times the detail shirt. You can get these at LukeStevensTV.com. They're also in the little shopping tray, probably under the stream or under the VODs and stuff that you watch on the Luke Stevens live channel. But yeah, 16 times the detail. Get your shirt today. It's great. LukeStevensTV.com. Again, LukeStevensTV.com. Anyway, I like Bethesda stuff. I just do. Okay. However, I'm not delusional, at least with some things. And in this case, I'd like to think that I'm not delusional about Bethesda's capabilities and capacity as a studio. Bethesda has a habit. We might even call it a pattern of releasing buggy, broken games. They just do. Okay? They just do. I don't know how you deny that. I don't know how you reject it with a straight face. They just do. And so when I look at Starfield, I look at this as a game that's very ambitious. And in the past, when they've done stuff that's ambitious, usually at the start, for the first month or two of the game's launch, there are lots of problems. Every time they've come out with a game that really pushes the boundary, it pushes the boundary of the engine as well. Even though they made updates to the engine specifically for those features, it still runs into problems. And in the case of Fallout 4, all sorts of buggy, broken stuff at launch with the graphics things that they were doing, pushing the boundary, all sorts of weird bugs popped up, all sorts of issues. And with, of course, Fallout 76, I'm sure I don't need to describe too much how weak their engine came or appeared to be as they tried to add in multiplayer code and things like that. It just broke the whole thing. When I did that collab with Mr. Matty Plays last year, the way he described it is that all of these Bethesda games have a notable Bethesda stink to them. And when you see them, like you see a still shot of one of them, you just know, oh, that's a Bethesda game. That's for sure. That's a Bethesda game. You know, you can just tell. You can just tell. And in this case, I think it's precisely that. It's there is a Bethesda stink here that is not surprising anybody. And with this, I think it's just important that we keep expectations in check. Otherwise, things will get out of hand very, very quickly. And I don't like that to happen. I've said before that I sort of view myself as the person that has to make everybody mad to try and talk them off the cliff of hype. Because so often people will just hype themselves up to the point where they end up being miserable and freaking out because they convince themselves that this game is going to be amazing or the second coming of Kojima or whatever else. I'm like, no, it probably will be pretty good, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be like magical. It still probably has problems that will arise, almost certainly. And so for me, I look at Starfield as a game with a ton of hype around it, very high expectations because it's the first huge first party exclusive that Xbox has. And so expectations are there. And as a result, I have certain standards that I would like to be met, such as polish, such as I would say modern standards met in terms of tech. So things like 60 frames. While great games have existed and regularly released at 30, that was years ago. And so, you know, I've kind of played devil's advocate in this discussion before where I've said like, hey, if you're freaking out that a game is terrible because it runs at 30, that's kind of stupid because Red Dead and Breath of the Wild and all of these other famous games that everybody knows and loves, all of these released at 30 frames. But that argument can also be used, or that counter can also be used for resolutions. So you can say, yeah, they also launched at 900p. They also launched at 1080p. Does that mean that modern games should be releasing at those resolutions? No. No. Just because they did and they ran at this certain level doesn't mean that it's okay. You know? Our modern standards have risen. We expect more because our technology can handle more. So in the case of Starfield, I would hope to see it run at 4K, even checkerboarded or upscaled or something, but I'd hope to see it run at 4K 60. At least having the option for like 1440p 60 or like some performance mode. That's what I would prefer, especially considering it's like a first-person shooter adventure game. I know there's like a third-person thing you can do, like most of their other games of theirs, but still, you get what I'm saying. So certain standards like that, from this planet surface into space transition, the fact that there's a load screen there kind of sucks, but if they were able to cover it up, I'd be more willing to deal with it, even though that was something established 7 years ago. You know, No Man's Sky did that famously, being able to transition cleanly from planet surface to space. And in Starfield, they've already confirmed that's not a thing. But if there are load screen, clever coverings of like animations of landing and stuff, maybe that's how they cover it up, and that could be fine. But this is, by all accounts, a very, very ambitious game. And in the past, whenever Bethesda has been very, very ambitious, the games launch super broken. They just do. And for me, I'm not going to recommend that my audience goes out and certainly buys a game if they don't have Game Pass. But I'm not going to recommend that they buy the game or that they waste their time on it if it's a broken mess. And again, I get to make fun of it if it launches broken. Okay? I just do. World-renowned GeoHound. Apparently crazy take. Starfield looks super boring to me so far. The art style looks ugly. The colors are dull. The character designs look off. The gameplay looks janky. Meh. I surprisingly don't think I disagree with anything you said there. The thing I find myself most interested in is the exploration and the ability to customize your own ship. But I would agree the combat looks clunky, to say the least. Even Maddie, who's like a Bethesda stan, even Mr. Maddie Plays was like, when we did the collab, he said, yeah, the combat didn't look too good. The gunplay did not look to be where it needed to be. What else did you say? Art style, I think part of it is some of the planets that they've gone to are really dull, and I think that's more an issue with their marketing team choosing to show footage from those places, but still, I agree that what they've shown so far is kind of bland. And I would also agree that character designs and animations are not up to modern standards. Certainly not for AAA development, but that's always been an issue with Bethesda. Their stuff has never looked very good.
Expecting bugs in an outdated engine, and fans prone to hold the studio accountable. Expecting bugs in an outdated engine, and disappointed on the heels of the latest Fallout 76. It's in fans' very nature to expect the worst. Looking back from grim prospects and a general distrust under the banner, especially under the name Xbox. But the concern: Creation Engine is actually the solution, as major...
Okay. There's a lot of assertions happening. There's a lot of just saying stuff. I know we're only 2.5 minutes in, but I want to hear him back this up. He's saying the Creation Engine is the solution to the bugs. Maybe there's information I'm not aware of yet, because I don't run in Bethesda circles. So maybe he's going to tell me something that's like, oh, they revealed that they hired this guy and they've done this coding stuff to avoid all these bugs and glitches and stuff, so we're going to be good. Or maybe he's just going to keep saying stuff and then, you know, preaching to the choir. I don't know.
Upgrades have been made to the engine, the pipeline, AI, physics, and visuals in Creation Engine 2.0.
Like
16 times the detail.
Maybe. Again, if we're just gonna like buy whatever marketing crap is tossed out, I mean, I think we're getting pretty stupid. Companies can say whatever the hell they want. Like, you have to question a little bit of it, especially because they've said many times before that they've added all these other systems, and then, you know, of course, we get the game and it's not running too great. So just because they say something doesn't mean that it magically fixes all the problems. Like what? Yeah, all new rendering, lighting, and landscaping technology.
And its integral new add-on software packs specifically for Xbox Series consoles and PC. There is a magic that only Bethesda can deliver in their games, and this sets them apart from the biggest and most creative games. And in the RPG realm, this gives you more choice, more interaction, and most of all, more immersion with all of these mechanics combined. Let's talk about Bethesda and how the magic of Starfield will surprise, delight, and win over gaming fans. The first concern is the first thing that hit our eyes in the gameplay, and that is the visuals.
And also the god-awful combat. But okay, tell me about the visuals.
One thing we'll discuss and explain here is the visuals and graphics. This is the first major AAA next-gen only game for the Xbox Series S and X consoles, and if it releases in summer of 2023, that puts us 2.5.
Also, what the hell is this AI doing? I didn't even notice this last time. What is this AI on the right doing?
And if it releases in summer...
Watch, he just crosses in front of him and walks away.
Of 2023, that...
Like, what is he doing? Why is he not... Is he distracted by the ship, maybe? Maybe that's what it is? He got, like, aggroed by the ship, but I would say he's already aggroed to you, the guy that just shot his friend, and so he should be more focused on that. Like, that's a little weird. But anyway, saying like he jumps to the graphics, saying it's the first thing we've seen. But most people's first impressions, and this isn't even, I think, a controversial thing. I think most people, when they saw this shot, were kind of underwhelmed. And as I've defended Bethesda here, I think that this is more that they did something accurate, choosing to go to a planet that has a very thin atmosphere, which means that there's not light scattering through particles in the air, which means that you're going to have a much more high contrast look. In the same way that, like, on the moon, if you're in shadow, it's pretty much black. It's just dark because there's no, light particles or light bouncing between particles of the air because there's no air. So if you're going to a planet where there's a low atmosphere or a very thin atmosphere, it's going to look like this. It's going to have a very high contrast look to it, at least in the rocks. I would say it's not consistent because the rocks are super high contrast, but then, like, you see here, the shadows are very well illuminated, so it just doesn't click with your brain. It doesn't seem to be coherent because back here, this doesn't match the foreground. So the background doesn't match the foreground, which means the lighting just doesn't jive, so it just doesn't look right. Yeah, right. Bethesda recreated the whole periodic table for the game like Hello Games did for No Man's Sky. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, all of this to say, I think generally people looked at this footage and had broadly negative reactions to it, especially when you look at the metal textures. Like, hold on, up here. Like, look at this. You're going to tell me there's like high quality textures on the level of like modern AAA games? Like, come on, dude. It's not to say the game will be bad, but if you're going to like lie to me and tell me that the game is graphically amazing, why am I going to believe anything else you say? This is why, like, if you're a fanboy, acknowledge a couple of the downsides. Like, acknowledge a couple of the things that are very transparently clear. Like, yeah, so this is why I respect Maddie so much. Because Maddie will look at it and be like, yeah, the combat, the gunplay didn't look that great. I agree. I totally agree. He tells you that, and it's just like, okay, I can respect you now because you're being honest. We might just disagree on the conclusion, but we're being real with each other. But if you're going to deny issues like this, then I think we're just being stupid. I think this is fanboyism. Like, these are issues here on a modern AAA $70 game, which is what this presumably will cost when it launches. I know it's on Game Pass, but still, a lot of people will just be buying it because they don't want to play through the Xbox PC launcher, which, to be fair, looks like and runs like total dog water. I was shocked at how terribly the Xbox Game Pass launcher still runs. Have you guys tried to use it recently? I tried to use it for Redfall, and it took me like 2 or 3 days just to install the damn game. It's amazing to me. It's horrible. The fact that they're owned by Microsoft and Microsoft can't get a launcher working is amazing. And it's been broken for years. They need to get on that.
Is the visuals. One thing we'll...
But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, the graphics to everybody are not great. But that's not why we play Bethesda games. It's okay that the graphics are not great. A game can be phenomenal without the best graphics. That's true, okay? Like, it doesn't have to be photorealistic. But if you're going to pretend like the bad graphics are actually amazing, we're being silly. You're being disingenuous, and you're just lying to yourself and to me, and I'm not going to take you seriously. Days. Yeah, literally, like over the course of 2-3 days, I repeatedly would try to hit install in the Xbox like launcher here, like right here. And all of the online things that I Googled, because it wouldn't actually download and install. You would press install, like just for a game. Let's just go to a game. Like this. You'd press install, and then it would just sit loading. You'd go to the download queue, and it would say preparing download. And they said, just leave it. Don't touch it. So I'd leave it for like an hour or two.
Champ super chatted
I wouldn't do anything for like 2-3 days.
I stopped using Game Pass because of the launcher lol. I just buy the games on Steam.
Yeah, Trouble. Thank you for the $4.99, by the way. And yeah, it's like, it's bad. It's a terrible launcher. And the fact that like imagine come launch day, If the PC launcher is still broken and people can't download the damn game, a lot of them probably will just go to Steam and buy it. Because they're like, screw this. I want to just play it. It's amazing. Yeah, you get error messages that are so generic that even support gives you 20 solutions to try it. Yeah, exactly. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. And if you're like a console player, or if you haven't experienced the Xbox PC launcher, I'm telling you, it is a joke. It's laughably bad, and it has been for years. Years. They've got to fix it. It's got to be on their roadmap because it's so bad. But the fact that it's been broken for years and they still haven't fixed it while they're pushing Game Pass so hard makes me think that they're just totally out of touch. It's amazing to me. Yeah, it's still better than games for Windows Live. I guess we can give them that. Yeah. I guess that's true. Oh, God damn it. Anyway, okay. Let's continue on. The point of all of this whole diatribe, if the graphics aren't great, acknowledge the graphics aren't great and I'll respect you. If you pretend like they're great, I'm going to tease you because you're clearly lying to yourself and to me, and you're being disingenuous.
Discuss and explain here is the visuals and graphics. This is the first major AAA next-gen only game for the Xbox Series S and X consoles, and if it releases in summer of 2023, that puts us
Well, I'm noticing so many weird things now that I didn't notice before. Look at this. Okay, so this guy runs over. He's going to pop up on top of this thing.
This is the first
Watch
major
this.
AAA
He turns, sees the ship coming
game
in,
for the Xbox Series S and X consoles.
turns back. The guy is standing on top of the box. My face is in front of it. So he like clipped up on top of this, or his AI told him to climb on top of this thing, thinking he'll be in cover from you shooting at him. What? I didn't notice this AI stuff before. I think I was just so focused on the graphics and then also the gunplay not looking great. I did not realize just how bizarre the AI is acting in this intro combat sequence. Like, seriously.
Consoles, and if it releases in summer of 2023, that puts
And then
us
this guy just
2.5
runs away,
years
lets you shoot him in the
into
back.
console generation. But Starfield, much like every other game released in the past 2 years, was
The ship looks badass, though. I don't care what anyone says. I think the ship looks awesome.
mostly developed during the Xbox One and PS4 generation without the knowledge or full knowledge of the hardware targets we have today. Graphics are a stylistic choice.
Okay, wait, hold on. That sounded really stupid.
Was mostly developed during the Starfield, much like every other game released in the past 2 years, was mostly developed during the Xbox One and PS4 generation without the knowledge or full knowledge of the hardware targets.
Okay. This is... Wow. This is what's known as an ad hoc rationalization. Every game last 2-3 years was developed primarily during the PS4 and Xbox generations. Yeah, that's probably fair. Therefore, it's okay for the games to look bad? Like, what do you think these other games that have looked really good in the last couple of years, how do they manage it? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? This was, to be fair, this is 9 months ago, but that's still July of 22. That's still 2 years into this generation, or like a year and a half through the generation. So, like, again, I just don't think that excuses bad graphics just because it's coming a couple years into the generation.
We have today. Graphics are a stylistic choice and hinge partially on attention to detail or scope of visuals, where some teams excel in areas of environment and some with characters. For Starfield, they have to strike a balance of a massive world, a detailed world, and all under the constraints of the creation engine that, like Unreal, has been updated over the years, but lacks modern cutting-edge features we're waiting to see from Unreal Engine 5. But you'd be surprised.
But, like, even this is just not... Even this isn't necessarily, like, true, though. The Red Engine that was used to create Cyberpunk 2077, that was iterated upon multiple times. Like, many, many times. This thing is technically the same engine that they built The Witcher 1 in. and it was iterated upon. This is why it's the Red 3, or I think this is actually the Red 4 engine. So it was iterated upon many, many times. So it's still technically an old engine that's been iterated upon, blah, blah, blah. And they were able to add cutting edge features and cutting edge technology, but it's because they built it in a way that allows for that. Bethesda just has not done that. That's not been a priority for them. It just hasn't been. And so like, I agree that, graphics are not everything, and that Bethesda has certainly made exceptions and like they've made decisions to prioritize other things over graphical fidelity. But this whole thing is just like, it's phrased in a very propagandistic way where it's like he refuses to say outright, yeah, the graphics don't look great, but there's a reason for that. It's just all very carefully dancing around saying that. Like, man, oh, it's a little painful. In November, Series X and PS5 are going to be 3 years old. Yeah. So when this comes out, it'll be just about 3 years into the generation, which is just under halfway through if past trends are to be believed. So I don't buy the whole, this was developed a lot during the like PS4 and Xbox One generation. Cool. But they're also like releasing 3 years into the generation, so they don't get just a get out of jail free card graphically. Like, what are you talking about?
Creation Engine 2 has
just Cowboy,
engine
you did.
lifelike animations for movement and fluidity. Upgrades have made it possible to add even more detail, natural shape, and realism to character faces and reactions.
16 times the detail.
Look at the narrative character.
Okay, this is where I might just get downright mean. Is he seriously going to argue without like any jokes or anything, like with a straight face, try to argue that these characters live up to modern quality standards?
Natural shape and realism to character faces and reactions. Look at the narrative characters, the models, detail, and animations in Creation Engine for Starfield. The facial structure, life brought to the faces under lighting, animated eyes, and expressions. This is a dying art in a world where most AAA games use full facial motion performance capture and animations in Creation Engine for Starfield.
Like, bro. These are like Mass Effect Andromeda models.
The facial structure,
He has a cool mustache. I'll give him that.
life brought to the faces under lighting, animated eyes, and expressions.
Like, I guess if you're just going to be like, yeah, they don't look that bad to me. Cool, dude. But like, these are not on the level of modern open world games. They just aren't.
This is a dying art in a world where most AAA games use full facial motion performance capture.
You sure?
Why not?
Because we got lawmen in 3 different states after us.
Last thing I want is to get us into trouble, but we need money.
Bethesda is using fully 3D modeled custom
Show a game from 5 years ago. Like, what?
hand animated character faces with procedural lip syncing so that Starfield players can interact with hundreds of NPCs up close and around the galaxy. Compare the face models of the same engine for Fallout 4 in 2015.
Yeah, dude, you'd hope that after 8 freaking years, things were better. They better be. Like, what are you talking about? If this is our standard, that things are better than they were a decade ago, then okay. You know what? You got me. I guess we're chilling. We're vibing, man. I get it. But if we're not talking about Bethesda, like, release over release, okay? We're talking about Bethesda versus its peers, the other guys in this industry that they're competing against. And frankly, against teams like Guerrilla, who are making open world adventure games. These are just not there. They're not on that level. And granted, Horizon looks phenomenal. Horizon is a beautiful game. But if you're going to charge $60, $70 and you're going to play in that playground of AAA open world development, like, I have to compare it to the peers, to the other games like this in the same family that are releasing around the same time contemporarily. I'm not going to look back 8 years and be like, yes, this game looks great because it looks better than the thing 8 years ago. Yeah, it better, dude.
Of a very much last generation NPC, and you can see main characters in Starfield will be much more impressive with subsurface skin textures, more lively eyes, and far more realistic detail in face formality, folds, and believability. Starfield's NPCs don't compete with some of the top tier games.
This is like the first concession he's made. Again, you need to be real and honest with this. Otherwise, like, I just have I can't really respect what's being said. But like what he's doing right now is great. I appreciate what he's doing right now, where he's saying it's not quite on the standard of these other games. That's great. This is all I want him to say, but it's been like 5 minutes of fanboying and talking about how great it is. And now he's saying, yeah, but it's not that good. Just be real with me and honest and direct, and I'll respect you a lot more.
Believability. Starfield's NPCs don't compete with some of the top tier games, but they are also not using any facial capture from real actors and actresses.
And whose fault is that? Like, okay. Cool, dude. Whose fault is that? And then he shows like clips from Hellblade. Not every game needs to be Hellblade. Like, again, you showed Red Dead 2, a game from 5 years ago. Red Dead 2 is a massive game. Tons of NPCs and interactions. And the animation quality is way better. Like, what are you talking about? This is the same thing where it's like, I complained about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Being used, or I complained about it being set in England. And I said, I think England at this period in time is just not a good setting for a video game like Assassin's Creed. It's just big, bland, empty. It's just forests, and that's it. I think it was a bad decision to put the game here because there's just not that many interesting places to go to. I think they should have set it somewhere else. And people are like, yeah, but that's what England looked like at the time. That's just what it's like. I'm like, yeah, but whose fault is that? It's like Ubisoft chose to place the game here. They didn't have to set it there. They chose to put it here. And it was a bad choice. There's just not that many interesting things to do. And I think they realized that, which is why immediately they let you drink that weird poison butt juice tea and transport yourself to another realm to pretend that you're Thor, or not Thor, to pretend like you're Odin. It's really, really weird. But I think it's because they realized that this was actually pretty boring. Setting all of that aside, though, it's the decision to show certain footage instead of other footage at very precise times is very, very intentional. Because when you're going to show clips like this, you're kind of subtly implying that these more linear narrative games are the ones that are using facial capture, and that's why they look better. But you're not going to show it in the context of something like Red Dead 2, which I know he has footage of because he just played it with voices not even like 40 seconds before this, which is a massive open world adventure game that uses the same technology. So it still falls on Bethesda for not doing it. And now listen, people are asking in chat, like, okay, but why they're like, he's saying that dynamic animations, facial animations are a good thing or better. What he's going to say, or what he would say, because I've heard this many times before, is that the reason that dynamic stuff is done is specifically because it allows them to have more dialogue. It allows them to go bigger and have an even more massive game because they can dynamically do the animations, blah, blah, blah. That's why it's a good trade-off. Yeah, it doesn't look as good as those other games, but this game is way bigger. That's what he's going to say, or what he would say, because I've heard all of these things before. As to whether or not you buy that excuse is up to you. Red Dead 2 is a great example of a game that does this masterfully and is massive and has the amazing quality. But then again, Rockstar is Rockstar. And I mean, not many, I would hope Bethesda fans wouldn't even go so far as to say like Bethesda is competing with Rockstar. Rockstar's on another level, which is why they're Rockstar, you know? So that could be fair. It's just a matter of scope and budgetary constraints. And Bethesda's not a massive studio, so that's it as well. But again, like, you have to be real with me and acknowledge it. But if you're going to be a fanboy and pretend like it's actually great, I'm not going to respect what you're saying very much, you know?
Now, let's look at the mainline hallmark locations and interactions with this game.
No, he's just gonna blow right past it.
Also not using any facial capture from real actors and actresses. Now, let's look
And then just blow past it. Yeah, but whose fault is that? Like,
at the mainline hallmark locations and interactions with this game world. Starfield has fleshed out outposts, cities, and faction-filled spaceports with bustling civilians and pirates to fill out the universe of Starfield with voice-captured dialogue, story, motivations, and quests that follow the Bethesda formula of multi-tiered quest lines, choice-driven RPG mechanics, and a feeling of a limitless exploration system.
and a feeling that is frankly orgasmic. Radiant AI software. Where have we heard that before? Remember the first time Bethesda really pissed a lot of people off with the "tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies"? It was Oblivion, when they started advertising it as having Radiant AI, true intelligent AI with characters that have their own schedules and stuff. Ended up being total marketing BS. It was like non-existent. The game was kind of a joke in terms of AI, but they're still going along this.
Radiant software is proprietary to Bethesda and gives all NPCs purpose, a schedule, and tasks to complete whether you're watching them or not. In major cities like New Atlantis on Jemison, the bustling city will feel alive and lived in, with civilians being more than just a set dressing, and many or most of them interactive with dialogue and quests, hand-built or even hybrid procedural generated to make the faction interplay more lifelike.
Or even some of them will even have an outpost that needs your help. Like, dude, this is so, oh, it's painful, man. Like, I get it, you're excited, dude, but like all you're doing is probably pulling up the Starfield website and then reading off the bullet points that the marketing team gave you. Like, that's all this is. It's just running through the same stuff we've heard 1,000 times, but it's taken so uncritically. It's just, well, they said that there will be countless quests to engage with and that the cities will feel lifelike. Like, okay, so is it lifelike if they just say it's lifelike? Like, you don't get to just say that. Like, what are you talking about?
And only in a Bethesda game can you shoot a quest giver in the face and never see them again.
I'm pretty sure the choice to show Fallout 4 footage was weird there, because there's a handful of quests and things in Fallout 4 that you can't break in that way. Which is just really funny that he chose to use that example.
Shoot a quest giver in the face and never see them again. The addition of Radiant AI in the creation engine will bring all of the RPG mechanics a cut above and the foundation for Elder.
Also, I hate to be the guy that says this once again, because I want to love Starfield and I'm excited for it. But I'm going to call things out when I see them and not be a sycophantic fanboy. I really don't like the UI. I mean, I hope they tweak this. I know this footage is old, but I hope they tweak the AI, because I really don't like the way this is broken down. It reminds me of a lot of those like ported games that are ported really poorly by teams that usually are not that concerned with the aesthetics of like smaller things like this. Because like this, I just really, I don't know, man. I don't like the way this is broken down.
Scrolls
and
6.
It's so generic, especially because like Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim had amazing UI. The UI design was brilliant. And I feel like this is just the most like boring thing ever.
The creation engine is about 10 years old, and after
Like
being
this, what even is this? This is super ugly.
built off of the Gamebryo engine with a portion of the source code, creating a distinct and separate new game engine that has been
Wait, hold
RPG
on.
mechanics a cut above and the foundation for Elder Scrolls 6. The creation engine is about 10 years old, and after being built off of the Gamebryo engine with a portion of the source code, creating a distinct and separate new game engine that has been overhauled and updated to become Creation Engine 2 for Starfield. Radiant software integrated into Starfield's Creation Engine 2.0.
Okay, so what he just said was like, it was very interesting. He said it very quickly and he kind of blew past it. But he did it very, very interestingly, where he was describing how they took the Gamebryo engine and created the creation engine. And then that's been iterated upon, and as a result, now we have the creation engine 2. Subtly implying that they've overhauled it to create the creation engine 2 and skipping over the creation engine 1. So the creation engine is about 10 years old, and after being built off of the Gamebryo engine with a portion of the source code, creating a distinct and separate new engine. I think it's more that this sentence just it's not constructed super clearly, which I'm very guilty of doing this too. So let me just be clear, but, separate new engine. Okay. So basically the creation engine, and then all of this is just describing how the creation engine was built from the Gamebryo engine and then tweaked, to have the creation engine. The creation engine has been overhauled and updated to become Creation Engine 2 for Starfield, using Radiant AI or Radiant software integrated into Starfield's Creation Engine 2. And it brings the game to life above and beyond what we saw from Fallout 4. Okay, so you're just saying it's been updated since Fallout 4, but you spent like 30 seconds saying it. Okay. And it's also tossing in Radiant AI is so weird. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Apple thing. You know how Apple with all of their devices will be like, oh, this has a Retina display. People will be like, what does that even mean? What is a Retina display? Like, where's the thing on? Yeah. Liquid Retina XDR display. Liquid Retina XDR display. Like when I sold TVs through Magnolia Home Theater, we would have people come in and ask for a Retina display TV. And we would describe to them, it literally is just a marketing term. Like it's just what Apple says is their monitor and display technology. It just means it's a really good display that Apple likes. That's really all it means. Like they've said previously, there's some standards where it has to reach a certain peak nit brightness. Some other people say it has to do with pixel density per inch, but they've compared like different iPads to it, different laptops that all say Liquid Retina displays, and none of it's consistent. It basically is just Apple says something is a Retina display if they want to, and that's it. And when he just like tosses out this stuff on like, yes, and they've put Radiant code into it to make it run better. Radiant software integrated. Like it's just a marketing term. It's just Retina display. Like, what are you talking about? Like I bet if you asked him, what does Radiant display mean or Radiant software mean? I don't think he'd be able to tell you. Like, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just a word. It's just something they say.
Brings the game to life above and beyond what we saw from Fallout 4. An upgraded version of
Again, I would hope so. It's been 8 years.
Radiant AI
Notice how he's just blowing past Fallout 76, by the way. Just don't talk about that.
allows non-player characters to dynamically react and interact with the world around them. Radiant Story, another software.
Hold on, I'm gonna show you this. Hold on. I have to find this now because Radiant AI Oblivion. Where's Todd Howard talking about it? E3 2005 demos.
Other side of the game, our new Radiant AI system. It allows NPCs.
This is from 2005. Okay, he's talking about this like it's cutting edge. Okay, 2005 at E3 is when this was recorded. This is Todd Howard, God Howard,
16 times the detail.
describing this.
Let's take a look at the other side of the game, our new Radiant AI system. It allows NPCs to have full 24/7 schedules. These NPCs are not scripted. We give them general goals, and they figure out on their own how to accomplish them. This is the western city of Coral. There are 9 main cities in the game and dozens of smaller settlements. Over 1,000 NPCs live in Oblivion, all with their own schedules and jobs. Cities are a great place to start a lot of your quests. Each city has its own unique shops, good for trading, breaking into at night, making it your own.
Good morning.
The NPCs also have dynamic conversations. These are based on your actions and what's going on in the world. It's a great way to pick up info.
Nilos, hello. Good to see you, Maris. What news have you heard?
The news is bad. Rumor has it there has been an attack on Kvatch.
No!
So all of these, oops, I pressed the wrong button. All of these things that he's describing are like 20 years old. 18 if we're being specific or whatever. So all of the stuff he's tossing out are just recycled marketing gimmicks from decades ago. I'm a baby. He looks older than me. I don't know how I know this stuff and he doesn't. This is baffling to me, but it's just, this is your brain on fanboyism.
Piece of Creation Engine 2 allows for NPCs to dynamically create new quests for the player in unexplored places.
And to have outposts and settlements that need your help.
Characters in Starfield will be more dynamic and volatile, as you can stay in their good graces by helping them with quests, or see them become the enemy immediately by betraying, stealing, or harming others in their faction.
Ah, yes, like companions in Fallout New Vegas from 2010. You know, like, it's just, again, if you're just telling me that like all these features that have allegedly been in Fallout games forever are new, like, again, if I know better, I'm just not going to take you that seriously. Like, this stuff is old. This is well established. But when you list it off like this, and if you don't know any better, you're going to think that this is like groundbreaking stuff. But this is, okay, maybe I should be precise. The reason why I get upset at this stuff is because consumers respect the statements of content creators a lot. If I tell you, oh, this game's great, you should go buy it, you might go and buy it. You're certainly more likely to go and buy it if you respect what I say, or if you like my taste in games, blah, blah, blah. And so for me to just casually hype you up or get you pumped about something, or even just lie to you, or lie through a mission, or refuse to acknowledge the downside of something that has downsides, I'm going to get you to the point where you could potentially waste your money on something you shouldn't be spending your money on. I could get you to the point where you're going to buy the collector's edition of this or that, or where you're going to pre-order the game on this or that. Like, and if even just setting all the money stuff aside, just from the perspective of like just hyping you up, if the game ends up being a broken mess for a month or two, people are going to come to me and be like, what the hell? Like, you hyped me up. You said this was going to be great. What is the deal? You know, like, they're going to be super disappointed. They're going to be bummed. And you just ruined that thing for them. You made them miserable just because you wanted the easy clicks of hyping them up. Like, man, that's why I care about this. Like, I'm not just trying to bash for the sake of bashing, but it's, like the fanboyism is strong, and I try to fight it where I can because I find it super, super unhealthy. I just think it's a terrible thing. Because it makes you sacrifice your reasoning at the altar of fanboyism, and it's just bad for you.
Radiant AI makes it possible for procedurally generated quests to feel natural. Combat is a major reward during exploration in Starfield. Bethesda has the backing of Machine Games, the talent behind Wolfenstein, for weapons handling, aiming, reloading, and grenade throws, mixed with strafing, running, and boost jumps added for the traditional, well-loved first-person shooter mechanics. Gunplay in Starfield with a weapon wheel allows RPG fans to...
Did he just say backing? They have the backing of this? Yeah, Bethesda has the backing of Machine Games, the talent behind Wolfenstein. I mean, they're in the same family, but that's been the case forever. So, like, does that excuse, like, the bad weapon handling in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76? Like, what are you talking about?
Keep combat from hindering exploration and interaction, and best of all, keeping it uninterrupted. Updates to the UI and Creation Engine 2.0 shooting mechanics make on-foot combat very controllable and very satisfying. The outer spaceship combat before it was shown was rumored to be rough and not fun, according to a former developer, but this gameplay shows a more fluid, visceral pitch, yaw, and roll attack pattern, seen in some of our favorite space battle games. Todd Howard says they are in the finishing touches and polishing phase for Starfield, and the space combat has seen an incredible update and a well-needed improvement. New updates to Creation Engine 2 allow you to build your crew and build upon the entire world while gathering resources from planets and enemy frigates. The combination of immersive worlds, living, moving civilizations, multi-tiered quests, punchy combat on foot or in space, mixed with transformative RPG mechanics, perks, and abilities, and a world literally filled with dynamic objects that can be used to craft, upgrade, and build your settlement and custom ship, are only possible in the new, overhauled, and updated Starfield Creation Engine 2. And with full mod support on PC and Xbox, the possibilities are limitless. Starfield will be a robust, memorable, and the most talked about game in 2023. But its legacy and potential will live on for a decade with Bethesda's excellent DLC, user-created content mods, and plenty to keep us busy until Elder Scrolls 6 in 2026.
Okay. Cool. My brain is fried. I was really hoping that there was going to be something in there that I hadn't heard about this new engine, but nope. Nope. It's just like, again, a list of marketing things from Bethesda's Twitter or websites, and then we just like go with it and just accept it. Okay, whatever. A little bit bummed. Yeah, dude, this is just a marketing video. Yeah, it kind of sounds like it. It's, you know what? If you want to hype people up, that's fine. But I'm gonna make fun of you when it's not even transparent. Like that was clear. Like that was laughable.